Welcome back to the deep dive. We have got an incredibly wild after-action report for you
Oh,
today.
absolutely. I mean, the escalation in this one is just off the charts.
Right. So what does a wheelbarrow full of herbs, a crew of totally unpaid stonemasons, and literally a forest of weaponized walking trees have to do with an impending goblin siege?
Yeah, it sounds like a bad joke setup, but it is exactly what you guys managed to stumble into.
Exactly. Today we are cracking open the GM notes, the player logs from session 13 of your Shadowdark campaign, and the core rule set. Our mission is to figure out how your party went from quietly sipping ale on a rainy morning to, well, staring down a small army.
And we really need to highlight the snowball effect here, because this session is practically a masterclass in how tabletop RPG environments react to player choices, like how random rumors steadily compound into life or death tactical situations.
Yeah, because let's remember your overarching goal. You guys are operating under Captain Barak's contract to hunt Gerblins around Wormslayer Keep.
Right, which is notoriously dangerous territory. Packed with bandits, supernatural threats, you name it.
But you didn't even start the session with a fight. You actually started by just spending money on a song.
Which, mechanically speaking, is kind of a big deal in this system.
Yeah, so let's set the scene. It's a blustery, drizzly morning at Mistress Garland's tavern. It has that really cozy atmosphere that gives you a classic false sense of security in old school games.
The calm before the storm.
Exactly. So Gilpa the Minstrel comes up and offers to sing the Lay of Days Gone By for 1 silver piece. And Chubbs just steps right up, hands over the silver, and you all sit back to listen to this melancholy dirge.
And I love this move because in a lot of modern heroic RPGs, currency stops mattering pretty fast, right?
Yeah,
You just hoard gold.
but you become medieval billionaires.
Right. But in a survival-focused system like Shadowdark, resources are tight. I mean, 1 silver piece could be a torch, it could be a ration, it could save your life.
So for Chubbs to drop it on a purely narrative experience,
Yeah, it signals to the game master that you guys are engaging with the lore. You aren't just treating the world like a combat simulator.
and that investment pays off immediately. Gilpin finishes his song and asks if you have any local news he can use. So Chubbs recounts that crazy encounter from Session 9 with Green Ash, the massive living tree.
Which totally thrills Gilpin. He promises to write a new song immortalizing your group.
And that is what prompts Barrel Anviltoe to finally give your party an official name. He officially dubs you the Cast of the Night.
Which is such a profound shift, mechanically speaking.
Wait, really? Just picking a name changes the mechanics.
Oh, entirely. Before Barrow made that declaration, you were basically operating invisibly. You were an unbanked entity in the Game Master's reputation economy. Just a random assortment of mercenaries wandering the woods.
So it's kind of like establishing a localized credit score.
That is actually a perfect analogy, yeah.
Because before, any chaos you caused or people you saved couldn't really be tracked back to you. The world couldn't audit your behavior.
Right, but now, the Cast of the Night is a searchable database for every NPC in the region.
Which means if you clear a dungeon, you get the reputation points.
Yeah.
But it also puts a massive target on your backs if you anger the wrong faction.
Exactly. It shifts you into a cohesive political faction. And because Gilpin operates on an information exchange system, he rewards your story with a really weird rumor.
Oh, the herb dumping. He tells you about old Green Thumbs, who is supposedly dumping entire wheelbarrows full of herbs into a dark hole every single night.
Which is such a specific, weird detail.
I honestly just pictured Gilpin as this, medieval tabloid journalist.
Yeah.
Just trading folk songs for the hottest local gossip.
Pretty much. And so, armed with this dramatic new name, the bizarre herb rumor, and your ongoing Gerblin contract, you guys head north to the timber fields.
Yeah, the goal seems totally straightforward, just march north. But the environment completely refuses to cooperate.
Because Shadowdark makes travel highly dangerous. It's not a fast travel cutscene.
Definitely not. You get to this small guardhouse, and the old sentry there tries to warn you off. He says Foreman Cadfell is terrified because the woods are haunted.
He even gives you the backstory. 6 months ago, a driver named Doffel and his 7 mules plunged into a ravine.
And as a player, you probably hear Doffel the mule driver and think, well, that's just ambient flavor text.
Right, just some local color.
But barely an hour later, you're navigating this treacherous switchback, you look over the edge into the ravine, and boom, there they are.
Ghost mules.
Yes, the hazy, ghostly, beckoning forms of Doffel, and these 7 spectral mules are just manifesting in the mist, staring up at you.
And this is where the Game Master is totally testing your impulse control.
Oh, 100%.
Because tabletop players often have this sunk cost fallacy. The GM puts a monster on the board so the players feel obligated to draw weapons and fight it for the XP.
But Chubbs just looks down at these undead mules, clearly does the math, and just flat out says nope.
Which is brilliant. It really is.
You guys just completely bypass the encounter.
And that shows a deep understanding of Shadowdark's rules. The system rewards survival. Monsters don't just act as XP pinatas.
Right. If they aren't guarding treasure you actually need, fighting them just drains your hit points and your extremely limited spell attempts.
Exactly. Choosing to walk away is a deliberately rewarded mechanic.
And that survival instinct gets you to the top of the hill with all your resources intact. But what you find up there is absolute chaos.
Yeah, the timber camp is completely falling apart.
Foreman Cadfell is backed into a corner, and there are 27 utterly terrified lumberjacks refusing to lift an axe because the forest itself is basically mobilized.
Literally pulling up roots and walking.
Yeah, whipping branches, systematically hurting the men south, and brutally snapping the arms of anyone who tries to use fire against them. And Burrow hears the phrase, "big tree men," and immediately just wants to abandon the site.
Which, again, totally justified. But look at the Game Master's environmental design here. This isn't just a random encounter table result.
No, it feels very calculated.
Right. The forest is using non-lethal military tactics. Hurting the men, disarming the fire users. It shows an organized defensive intelligence.
Okay, but I have to push back a little on how you guys initially read this situation. Because you rolled up acting like the lumberjacks were these innocent victims of a monster attack.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Look at your logs from Session 9. You literally stood face to face with Green Ash, who explicitly warned you to stay out of the woods. The forest verbally gave you a boundary.
I absolutely did.
And now you're watching an industrial logging crew clear-cutting that exact area, and you're surprised the trees are breaking their arms. I mean, at what point do you realize maybe the lumberjacks are the bad guys here?
That's the beauty of a living ecosystem model. The Game Master is showing that the wilderness is a reactive entity. The logging triggered an immunological response from the forest.
You guys are basically stuck in the middle of a localized eco-war.
And it forces a profound moral and tactical dilemma. Do you fulfill your contract and protect the humans, or do you respect the sovereignty of the ancient woods?
Well, you wisely chose Option C. Massive avoidance.
Yeah, intervening in a war between 27 loggers and militant trees is way above your pay grade right now.
Totally. So you pivot. You head toward an old hunting tower where strange lights were reported, hoping to get back on the Gerblin hunt.
But that detour reveals that supernatural ecology isn't the only system breaking down around Wormslayer Keep.
No, the human economy is totally collapsing too. You're on the quarry road and you run into Davron, the local stone assessor.
And the guy is just buckling under the stress.
He's a mess. He hasn't been paid by his employer, Sir Garin, in 6 weeks. Plus, he thinks the quarrymaster, who is this towering 7-foot, one-eyed brute, is actively colluding with bandits.
Grounding the fantasy in mundane economics like that is such a brilliant narrative technique from the GM.
Really makes the world feel grounded, right?
Exactly. When you have ghost mules existing in the same world as an unpaid contractor terrified of organized crime, the fantasy elements feel earned.
The whole quarry setup feels exactly like a mob-run construction site. You've got the desperate unpaid laborers, the terrifying physical enforcer and the quarrymaster, and of course, nighttime smuggling routes.
Because Davron unwittingly gives you the next massive piece of the puzzle.
The brown cloaks. He complains that these guys working for Old Green Thumbs are constantly moving shipments of herbs to the local vintner at night.
And he explicitly identifies Green Thumbs as a druid.
Which prompts Barrow to just grumble this hilarious dwarven stereotype. He just goes, probably eat granola.
Which is funny, but strategically you really need to synthesize this intelligence.
Let's connect the dots.
Okay, so in the tavern, Wilpin said Green Thumbs was dumping wheelbarrows of herbs into a hole.
Right.
Now, miles away, Davron corroborates that brown-cloaked operatives are moving herbs to a vintner.
The Game Master is literally mapping out a supply chain for you.
Precisely. Raw materials harvested, transported via secure logistics, the brown cloaks, through mob-controlled quarry territory, and delivered to a processing facility, the vintner.
Because a vintner specializes in fermentation and brewing. You guys uncovered a massive druidic mob-run smuggling ring happening right under your noses.
The world-building depth is staggering. But, the immediate threat forces you to leave the quarry behind and follow the road to its end.
Which brings the cast of the night face to face with your original target, Old Barrow's hunting tower.
And this is the flashpoint. All the session's tension finally explodes into rolling initiative.
It's a classic siege scenario. You do some recon and spot 2 Gerblins with short bows on the roof, holding the high ground, and 3 more patrolling the ground with clubs.
And your tactical opening here is practically flawless.
Oh, it was so smooth.
Yeah.
Instead of charging the open clearing and just eating a volley of arrows, you use the tree line for cover. Redbeard and Saruprecht initiate a coordinated snipe attack on the roof.
Which has a great layer of irony to it.
Oh man, yeah. Saruprecht, who earlier admitted his knighthood is completely fabricated, is the one who draws his bow and lands a spectacular, strictly lethal shot on the roof guard.
Eliminating the archers first is textbook. It blinds their early warning system and removes their ranged threat.
It forces the ground troops to fight you on a 2-dimensional plane, but you're still outnumbered on the ground.
Until Barrow steps out of the trees.
Yes, Barrow steps up and just casts Burning Hands. Now, we have to talk about how incredibly risky this was mechanically.
Right, because in something like 5th edition D&D, you just spend a spell slot and the magic happens.
It's guaranteed.
But Shadowdark strips that safety net away. Magic is volatile. Casting a Tier 1 spell requires a DC 11 intelligence check.
You have to roll a d20, add your modifier, and beat an 11. If you succeed, a roaring wave of fire blasts out for a 1d6 damage.
And since low-level enemies only have a few hit points, rolling a 4 or 5 on that damage die is instantly lethal.
But the risk of failure is huge. If Barrow rolls below an 11, he loses the spell for the entire day.
And if he rolls a natural 1, it's a magical mishap. He could have blown up the whole party. He gambled everything on one die roll to achieve absolute shock and awe.
And it pays off. He nails the check. The spell detonates, incinerates one club Gerblin instantly, and severely burns another.
The damage is great, but the real victory is psychological. The overwhelming magical fire instantly shatters their morale.
I do have to ask, though, was throwing a massive roaring waves of highly visible fire really the best move for a stealthy snipe attack?
It's the eternal spellcaster debate.
You basically fired a magical flare into the sky saying, the cast of the night is here.
True, you trade stealth for immediate battlefield dominance. And you can't argue with the results. The last roof Gerblin panics and runs inside, and the 2 on the ground drop their clubs and surrender.
You secured the perimeter without taking a single scratch. But the aftermath of that surrender violently flips the script.
The interrogation.
Yeah, you tie up the Gerblins, do a quick field interrogation, and ask a very simple question. Who else is inside the tower?
And the answer is absolutely chilling.
The Gerblin just looks at you and says, oh yeah, whole lots. Lots.
No.
Oh yeah, we got the Gerblins, bugbears, and trolls, and Chief Perrick.
That single line completely recontextualizes the whole session.
Bugbears. Trolls. And who is this Chief Perrick? You spent the morning feeling so competent, handling the sentries surgically.
But the Game Master just pulls the rug out. You haven't solved the problem. You just knocked on the front door of a massive multi-faction dungeon crawl.
The escalation is dizzying. You started out tossing a silver piece to a bard, and a few hours later, you are standing on the threshold of a localized war.
It really shows how every choice was a funnel. Naming yourselves put you in the politics. Bypassing the ghost meals saved you resources. Avoiding the trees kept you on the road.
And ignoring the quarry corruption led you straight to the tower. The GM didn't force you into this. Your own logical decisions walked you right up to Chief Perrick's doorstep.
It is a phenomenal bait and switch.
You dodged an environmental disaster just to volunteer for a heavily fortified hostage situation, and now you're committed. You can't just walk away like you did with the mules.
But before we wrap up this after-action report, there is a crucial piece of strategic analysis you players need to consider before your next session.
Oh yeah, the board is incredibly complex right now. Look at the interconnected threats.
Right, think about the supply chain. Old green thumbs hoarding herbs, moving them underground via the brown cloaks.
The corrupt 7-foot quarry master, protecting those logistics routes with bandit muscle.
And the herbs being delivered to a fermentation and extraction specialist.
And now, Chief Perrick has somehow amassed this highly diverse, incredibly dangerous army in one tower.
So the critical question is, are these separate phenomena, or are you looking at a unified, vertically integrated criminal enterprise?
Wait, are you suggesting the granola druid and the goblins are actually working together?
I'm suggesting you look at the economics of war. Armies require massive resources. Is Chief Perrick the primary client buying whatever illicit, highly potent alchemical concoction that Druid and Vintner are mass producing?
Oh, wow.
Are the bandits securing the supply lines so Perrick can feed combat enhancements to his troops? Because if that army is being magically supplied by a druidic cartel,
Your siege just got exponentially more lethal. Oh man, the tactical implications are terrifying. Imagine breaching the first floor and fighting a 9-foot-tall troll chemically enhanced by experimental combat-grade druid granola.
exactly.
If that is what's waiting for you in the dark, you might honestly wish you had just taken your chances with the ghost mules.
Seriously.
Keep your spellbooks close and your wits about you. Cast of the night. The dungeon awaits.